Label, how you doing?
For the first time in my life, probably taking a deep breath.
January 1st.
My grandmother's birthday. She
Ooh,
was my
Mazel
hero.
Tov.
Yeah, special woman. 2026. It's like a crazy thing to think about. I didn't even realize it till today.
Yeah,
Like you're so busy, life, whatever's going on.
yeah.
But
It's good that it's coming into a weekend because then it gives us a chance to okay, you disconnect and you just get to think.
yeah, I really believe if I was to stop and actually think more often, I think that we would be in a better place. I think we're so busy running and active and moving that like
Yeah.
we don't give ourselves a chance to like stop. And I tell you that all the time. Like, take a minute. Like, don't think about the camera. I saw your eyes.
I know. I can't help myself.
Yeah, don't stop. No, you gotta get out of here, get out of your head. Now
Okay,
you're worried
okay,
about
okay.
me. You go there with me for a second. But
Yeah.
it's interesting that idea of like I was actually sitting with the president of Profoto. It's a lighting company we used. And he said when he was hired originally from the company, the main headquarters is in Sweden. They told him 90% of your job is to sit on the desk with your feet on the desk, with your hands behind your head and think. If you start working, then you will be useless. And he said, practically, it didn't really work out that way, but that was the idea. And I really think that, if we do the same thing, like, you come up with the most wild things from what we create and you bring it to the next level. And I think often, like I tell you all the time, like just stop for a second, like just listen to music, take a second, breathe, not for for HR and for you to enjoy yourself, but also because the product is going to be that much more powerful. Like, it's interesting when you just stop and think.
That's where the magic happens. It doesn't happen when you're in it. It happens in those in-between moments. I see it all the time when I'm not at the computer. When I'm at the computer, I'm actually executing the task at hand. I'm not thinking of the broad picture. Those ideas come. I want to say during Shemona Esrei when you're standing and praying, but it's not really just that. It's really that disconnecting. Um, when I'm driving, you're in the shower, when you're just spaced out and you're doing other things and you're letting. So it's important. I tell people all the time, it's not a 9 to 5. It's you're constantly because I process the materials, I go through it, I watch it, and then I have to step away from it. And that's when the ideas come and you start kind of seeing, the finished product or
It's funny
getting
when you say
ideas
Shemana
for it.
Esrei, when you say, when you step into prayer. So I used to think that it was a Yitzhahara thing. Yeah, I used to think that it was
Yeah.
like, a distraction thing. But I realized it might be something a little different. It's when you're connected straight to the one above with all of ability and all inspiration.
Yeah.
Of course, you're going to start getting these great ideas. Why? Because now you're totally connected, right?
Oh,
I think we
that's
could probably
interesting.
bring that, into the normal world as well. You know what I mean? We can bring that into our world and, just bring the God thing in here. And then maybe we get that same inspiration. But it's the time that we connect. Um, that it's the time that we connect. It's also interesting the concept of, I think you and I are both working on that now, of trying to disconnect a little bit, even in the business side. And I started getting myself a notebook, like some like actual paper and pen and
Yeah.
writing ideas. And like I have over in the office, I have like check marks. And today I would like check, oh, check, I did that, check, I did that, check, I did that. And I spent a few hours just thinking and writing as opposed to like doing my WhatsApps and kind of reaching out that way. And I did the intellectual work, the mental work. And then, like you said, these are just like crossing off the tasks I have to do. Reach out to this person, pitch the idea here. What about this idea? And then when the implementation is just check, check, check,
Yeah.
check. It's interesting.
Yeah, I've seen it with writing, by the way. Speaking of writing pen on paper, it's a very different thought process than typing when you're connected to the device. And I've seen somebody write on LinkedIn as well when I wrote about, I was actually sketching out. I used to do this way more often, and now
You told me, you showed it to me. You sent me a picture. You said, I got it.
because I was
What
so
is it? You
excited
like
because
scribble like
when,
this. There.
yeah, even just that few minutes that I was like, took myself out of the computer for a minute, sat down with a pen and paper and wrote out. I don't know what it does in the brain, but when you write it out when you write it's a different thought process. It does something different. It helps me like kind of process ideas. I think you
So
find
you had
that as
decided to
well.
sit down and schmooze and to like connect, and I said, Avram, I'm going to follow you. So bring it on.
Yeah. So we're starting off 2026, and I don't think you've been sharing enough. I keep pushing you to do it. I
You
don't
know, it's
share often enough,
interesting,
but I'm pushing. It's easier to push each other, I guess, because
and
then we,
it's also very interesting because I do feel like we're not sharing like sharing. And it's a funny joke that I always say that like there's people that are active on social and there's people that are working. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
like sometimes they, like sometimes they don't. You know, sometimes they're mutually exclusive. And thankfully, we've been working. But also, like I've always felt this like very interesting concept of like, there's a concept in our culture of the hidden things have blessings, right? Like which is so contrary to what we want to do in business, which is like shout the wins and like it's like an interesting thing. And this year it's been a lot of like real blessings, and we've kept it somewhat quiet. I think just because we've been focused and also just because we haven't felt strong there.
yeah,
But I do feel that it's an interesting concept because you almost don't want to like jinx it. Like it's working, don't jinx it. On the other hand, how in the world is the world supposed to know about it if you don't show them? So it's like a very interesting. That's the struggle that happens inside of me.
yeah. Is there when you refrain from sharing certain things, what is the like what is holding you back sometimes from sharing ideas or
Let's say, for
clients or things that
example,
we're working on as
I'll
we
I'll
come
give you
to?
examples from this year. Yeah,
Yeah.
this year we got probably the largest contract we've ever gotten in our life. Wyndham, no, Wyndham's a different thing. Care One, Care
It's so
One
cool
brought
to be
us
able to
in.
say that. Say
Yeah.
like biggest client and then Wyndham, we got Wyndham, but that's not yeah, it's like it's such it's a pinch me moment, like so much to be
Yeah,
thankful
like
for.
well, like really, right?
Yeah,
It was Care One. We did a project for Care One, as you know. They loved it, and they said we want to bring you in to every one of our facilities. And that was like, we've been working so hard on building this like healthcare product, and to see someone that got it so strongly to say, "Come on in and let's rock." And we spent our whole year doing it. Now that I got to go in front of the whole staff and give them like, "This is what we're doing. This is our plan. This is how we're doing it," and everyone went wild, right? But then you share that moment then. Like, what if it doesn't work? Or what if they're not happy? What if it gets out and maybe they change their mind? Or what if I don't know what if, you know what I mean? So like then you want it to like to ride, and then you're riding it. And at that point, now you're in the middle of it. How far do you at what point do you share it? Like now it gets a little funny. And then are they going to be happy? And then now I just thought about it today. We were talking about a social media strategy. I was saying, okay, now we're a year later. We're many project deep. Everyone's happy. So it's time to start sharing, right?
yeah,
Wyndham, the same exact thing. Wyndham, we wrote into the contract that we would do it only if we could kind of utilize that name brand, right? But
yeah,
like you can use certain things, you can't use certain things. Are they going to be happy? Or are they not happy? You know the story there. It's hysterical. Like like we gave them the product, everyone liked it, but then like made it all the way to the CEO, and he said, "Hey, I love that. Do we
yeah,
more of that?" And now we're doing more of that. That's like awesome. You know what I mean? But like, it's like, and then let's go the other side. Let's go on Kushner. Like, I feel such a deep respect, honor, and privilege to be able to work on projects that are at that level. That like, you have to be very sensitive about. That's not like just something you throw out there. It has to be like done responsibly and like and respectfully and all those things. So like it's not like we just did special children's center. Everyone wants to see that, but like it's a very nuanced thing. But you can't step away from it because then nobody knows.
yeah.
So and that's kind of where the hesitation slash excitement is.
So you're working actively on a strategy to start putting things out.
Right. And
Great.
and again, I know it, and nobody's happy about the fact that LinkedIn is useless these days. Again,
Yeah,
God is all powerful. So therefore, we used to think that LinkedIn was God's solution to business. Now we're realizing, okay, God is God's solution to business, and we have to
yeah,
put on it. That's called active duty. That's called our responsibilities to post. And I'm going to post,
yeah,
lean that there. I'm going to post once a day. We're going to go back to it. But like, it is kind of depressing putting it out and seeing like 42 impressions like after like 3 weeks. Then after 4 weeks, you start getting up to like 172 impressions because like I know LinkedIn's
Yeah.
showing you things 4 weeks later, but there is like a kind of like a deterrent of knowing that your mother and like you and from is going to see it.
Yeah, it's an interesting it's not a motivator, let's put it that way. Yeah. But I always keep reminding myself like if I put something out and 10 people saw it, 20 people saw it, it's like it's still more than what would have seen it otherwise. And as
No,
long as
but
you're
you've
doing
had
your
people
part, you got
call
to do
you.
your
You've had
part.
people call you on small posts like, "Hey, I saw your thing. What about a project?" Like I've seen you put out like things that are like not much, and then people will call direct and say, "Hey, I like that piece.
I've
What
seen
what
that.
can we do?"
Yeah, I've had that in the last year even where I don't remember what it was. I remember I had something where I put up where okay, I'm going to do my part. You got to
I
do.
remember. I remember exactly what it was. It was a healthcare company that we had a conversation with that
Yeah.
God willing we'll get through. At a certain point, but it was a small post. It wasn't much. They saw it. They liked it. Connected, and we got on a call.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it wasn't that one piece. It's that consistency. When we met with them, they were saying they've been following, my post for a while, and now was the time. Like, okay, this was maybe that trigger. You don't know what's going to trigger people you know,
You
to
also have
make
no
the
idea
call
who's watching. Like again,
all the time.
There's LinkedIn Premium or whatever, but you really have no clue who's watching. It's fascinating to me
Yeah.
because I was with one of our companies. One of our companies was purchased by a PE, private equity company, and that private equity company became a client of ours as well. When I met the owner of that company because they became a client, I said, "Nice to meet you. My name's Label Schwartz," and they said, "I know." I said, "Well, like, how do you know? Like, like I know you. Like, how do
And
you?"
they own
They,
dozens and dozens
yeah, they're
of
the owner of all of the whole PE, not just this, like the whole thing.
yeah,
And I said, "How do you how do you?" He said, "What do you mean?" And we were watching your work with the company that we purchased for many many years and saw everything that was going on. That was one of the deciding factors. I mean, that's how we knew the progression of this company. Um, we've been watching you for years, and you're like, "What? How?" And now they're our client, right?
yeah,
So you never ever know. And you know what? You just have to rely on the fact that God runs the entire world. He can do anything. He loves us. That's it.
yeah,
That's the long and short of it. We got to do the right thing, period.
yeah.
So we're going to do marketing
That's
this year.
about. Yeah, so this is the first step in that marketing. Well, it's
Bring it on.
second or third or whatever it is, but the first one where I could finally pin you down to sit down and just let's just reflect back on 2025. Speaking of that the PE VC whatever that big company, I was actually looking back at. I like to do this every once in a while because it helps me when I'm working on the day to day, like really knee deep in projects, and sometimes you have the ups and downs of the stress of editing, and every project has that same cycle with when you're in it, you until I don't see it in kind of the vision in my head of what the project is going to look like, it's a little bit scary. And then once I crack it, even if I still have a whole bunch of days of editing, but I have the idea in my head very clear, that's when I'm like happy. So every once in a while, it's helpful to remind you like every single project goes through that. So I was looking back and we did that. I think it was February 2025, if I'm not mistaken. Where was
Oh,
that
I
conference?
actually want to read it. By the way, I have to reach out to them because I presume that they're having their event
Their
again.
annual, yeah, they have a big conference
And
with all the,
yes, I wanted to reach on LinkedIn. And I realized I was going to ask. I was going to ask, what the best way to reach out was, but they were, it's funny to me, this concept of like, I think often we think that like, we know, again, in my mind, we're the best in the world at what we do. Like we are the best in the world at specifically what we do.
yeah,
And a lot of times I think like, okay, we're the best in our little world, but like there's a big world out there. You know what I mean? Like it's like a very big world, but I'm best in the whole world. I'm the best in my little world. You know what I mean? And then you start hitting these conglomerates, right? And then you blow their mind and you're like, guess what? I think
yeah.
maybe we are the best.
If you get an email from Wyndham saying the CEO, you made him smile, like you're
Right.
you're playing at that level. You know,
Right. So this thing to me is everything. So
yeah.
but yeah, so exactly that. So it's time to reach back out to them. We had a great experience. They loved it. Now it's time to rock again. And if we don't reach back out, then shame on us.
What was your favorite project of 2025? I want to
I'd
say,
have to
I'm not sure if I'm going to ask favorite client or favorite projects because thank God we had so many repeat clients. Clients are
right,
happy. They're coming back and we keep doing, Special Children's Center you just put out today. We're up to video number 4 or 5 of their centers. We're not talking
right.
about the amount of, bunch of
And not
small
only that, but we
ones.
haven't even done the main one yet. And basically, you want to hear something
Yeah.
funny about them? We don't do nonprofits, as you know. So I go in and I said, listen, it's not my speed. They're like, okay, I'm letting you know we will not be happy. I guarantee you we will not be happy. They said, how many revisions do you have? I said, I said, we don't generally need revisions. Say, how many do you have? We're going to use all of them. I said, I've never really needed, I mean, very seldom have I ever needed revisions. If I need revisions, we have a problem. That means I didn't get it, right? So they said, I guarantee you we'll use every revision and, whatever. So I said, I don't think you will. So Kitzer, we did the whole project. I go in, so I sit down, I deliver to them. We're all nervous or whatever. And then everyone's silent. And they said, we love it.
Yeah.
I told you.
That's pretty
Told
wild.
you.
Getting literally
By the way, we have footage of that
spelling
that you can. We
change
have footage of that
corrections
that you
or
can
like
put in because
titles
it's
for
true.
people. That was it.
And that's the thing. So like special. It's so hard. You can't say favorite. Like first of all, I don't even remember it was this year. It's like so long ago. I'd love for you to give me a list. But like, there's been some wild stuff going on. Like obviously, the journal from Kushner has my whole neshama in it. It's got every part of like it's everything I've ever dreamed that we could do. This year was Jamaica. I literally went down to
Mm.
Jamaica and interviewed the minister of finance, the minister of tourism, the minister of what do you call it? Of sustainable growth. It was like literally create a piece just to show investors about this wild project. This has been a year that's a wind of how do you even start to I don't even know like how to, like all of Care One.
Yeah.
Right? How do you like deal with all of Care One? That's every piece of me. You know what I mean?
Are there clients where you can't right now for reasons of NDA or other reasons that because of the project hasn't been released yet, we can't talk about them yet? I'm not asking you to kind of say who they are, but like these limitations, exist in the corporate world all the time, right?
Right. So,
Um,
and also you can't put out before your client puts out, right? That's like obviously no,
yeah,
no. So that's where we're touching, we're dealing with literally the top of the healthcare world, the top of the healthcare world, wherever like the whole top, 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 but they haven't put out yet. So there we can't put out yet. It's like a funny world because like you just want to shout to the beginning, like, to the tops of the mountains, like, guys, you got to see the stuff, right? But you
yeah.
can't, right? I also feel like this has been a very special year with Mozart. Mozart's a company that kind of brought us into healthcare, and I went in screaming, I'm not going to do it, and now I'm like, I'm in it with my whole heart. And I owe them a lot of a curse of Tov. They've really pushed us in some special, special ways. Um, and one of the things I like so much about it is they get us. They get what we do. They get what we can do. They utilize our stuff really, really, really well. Um, they're just as invested emotionally in the projects as we are, and a big, I have a lot of appreciation for them.
Yeah, and one thing that not everybody appreciates or understands about any really industry, but especially in ours, that it has to be a mutually beneficial relationship. When we see that a client is not doesn't we don't align with a client or vice versa, where they don't appreciate, like you said about Special Children's Center, if we're talking about the number of revisions and we're getting down to that granular level, then it's not a good fit. We have a certain product that we do really well, and within a certain level to play within, that kind of within that box,
There's
great.
also a lot of trust there has to go. Like there is so much trust because what do you mean you're just going to get it? Like, well, we're just going to get it. Like, well, how do we know you're just going to get it? well,
Yeah,
that's what's going to
and
happen.
if
But then
exactly, and if not,
once they
yeah,
taste it, they're like, okay, we're good. We just had now with RSK, right? We did a Stickle favor, like, playing around P-Tex to RSK. I'm a big fan of RSK.
yeah,
So we did one piece, just a favor. I've never worked with P-Tex really, gave them a piece just to give them a taste. And
mm,
they're like, they go write a big thing back. We got 95 signups today. That's never happened before. We got to start doing all sorts of things. I said, my whole goal is complete. I wanted you to taste it. You
yeah,
tasted it. Now you know it's possible. You want to do more now? I presume that was the case, right? Baruch Hashem, now let's rock. Also, very interesting this year. Um, Trust is a big interesting thing. Trust is a huge, huge, huge interesting thing because a lot of us, I think, play in this world of potential, and trust is a huge factor. And I want you to taste it. This is one of the challenges we have with the label brand. I want you to taste it and see the value. Once you see the value, there's nowhere to go back. That's what Care One did. That's what China did in Florida. That's what all of right. That's what's going on. That's what. So let's say, for example, when Kushner reached out to us, Mrs. Meyer said, "Label, I need to get my executive board on board. We know your price point. Can you do it at a smaller number, like a significant, not super significant, smaller number? Let's do one project. Once we see that works, we have another 10 projects to go. We'll go full speed ahead
yeah,
at normal pricing." Now, I had 2 or 3 clients that did that with us this year. Now, the fun part is you get to see, right? We had a client that, let's say Kushner, once they got it, they signed up their next 3 projects, which is like a dream. And then we move forward. And that was that goodwill I put forth, you put forth.
yeah,
Then we've also had clients that have taken advantage of the opportunity, right? But you got to be okay with that, right? It's a little bit of a gut punch, like really, like really. But you have to be able to own up to your thing and say, this is what it is. You know what I mean? Not that they weren't happy, they were thrilled, but you put things on the table and say, hey, I'll take care of you, take care of me. And then sometimes it's not mutually exclusive.
yeah. If
Then
there's
sometimes it's not
friction,
mutually
yeah,
right. And it's not a problem. I gave you my word. It's all good. And I have zero times for like all good.
yeah,
Like it's the best thing that ever happened. But that being said, that's what's called risk. You put forward, you take a risk,
yeah,
and I'm used to risks working. Sometimes they don't. And that's fine.
right,
That's what's called calculated risk. And
yeah,
then you have to know with that certain client, are you going, what's going to happen in the future? Just make sure, I always say, and you know this more than anyone, the one thing I can guarantee with Siyat Dishmaya is you're going to end up happy, right? There's no such thing as you're not going to come out. Like
right,
you and I will do literally anything in the world to make sure it's perfect, and we'll eat it. We'll do anything it takes because you're going to end up happy. Whether we're going to end up happy in the end, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? But you're going to end up happy. And that's, I think, something that I'm very, very proud of.
yeah. It's something that you and I align on. You know, ever since we first started working together. It's kind of it's the mentality of that unreasonable hospitality where you gotta, it's funny that you recommended that book and I was finally able to put a term to that concept that we both were, in that, space, headspace the entire time. So yeah, we're gonna take it to the finish line no matter what, no matter how big or small you are, no matter how much we charged or didn't charge, whether or not we're gonna work again in the future, that's gonna depend on how it goes. It has to be mutually beneficial.
I say all the time, we vet our clients. Like the whole process from the first call, we're vetting our client. Is this going to be the right person for us? Are
Yeah.
we the right person for them? Right? Is this going to work? All the way through delivery, all the way through every part of it. At the end of the whole thing, we decide, are we going to do this again? Or are we not? And it's funny, and you know this obviously, but we're doing it for our client for sure.
Yeah.
But we're really doing it for us.
Yeah, exactly.
I will never have a project out there that someone would say he didn't put every single possible ounce of what he is into this, right? I would never, I couldn't do
Yeah.
that. So therefore, it's not, again, we're doing it for our clients, but really it's because I would never ever have a project out there or an experience out there that that didn't have our full, label experience on it. And that's a challenge in growth, by the way. That's what's that I think you and I are what's hindering label from growing, because it's you and I. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that we
Yeah.
have to work on this year is like how do we figure out how to take this recipe and expand it in a way that keeps the label stamp, but can grow beyond Laibel and Avraham so that there's room to grow.
Yeah. It's interesting. That attention to detail is very, you know, evident from just this year. We had a project for Kushner, which is highlighting $1 billion real estate project, which is just mind-boggling, showcasing that to future investors. And in the same calendar year, we created a video for a photographer in Muncie, which is a video I'm super proud of. It hasn't seen the light of day yet, but it's something I'm super proud of because you and I both put our heart and soul into the same amount of energy into both projects. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's a project for a local photographer or $1 billion real estate development. At the end of the day, they're both clients, and we're going to treat them with the same level of respect and attention to, for every step of the way.
And it's funny because you think like, like maybe one, the answer is like people like, people always say like, well, what, they're all going to look the same. I'm like, wait a second. Do all the headshots look the same? They're like, yeah. So I was like, so why does everyone get them? They're like, oh, because it's me. Exactly. Right. The recipe is perfect. Right. The beauty is that it
Yeah.
shows you.
Yeah. And that's whenever somebody asks you, do you have samples in, and they go to some
No.
abstract industry. But then what do you need to produce? At the end of the day, it boils down to the same, it's telling solving a problem through video.
I also think it's very interesting that our roles are so in line, but so off sync. Like it's like literally like I go in, I don't even know. Like obviously I give you like a deep dive of like what the project is and what like the objective is. But it's
Yeah.
so interesting. I really think it would be funny to try this once, but like I believe you understand exactly what I'm trying to get from what I'm asking and what I'm doing. You understand exactly what the end result is. So people are like, well, how like should we talk to Avram to give him like the idea of what's doing? What the like no, you understand. He's gonna know better about what your objective is than you are, because he's gonna understand exactly what I was pulling. It's an interesting concept of like, I'm curious from your perspective. Like I live this whole thing, I go out and I rah 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 do the whole thing and I pull out the whole thing. And then you get this like I think you just got like 10 hours of footage from the Special Children's Center of Lakewood. And you're looking at this like humongous like terabyte or whatever of like footage, like this like big block of like what am I
Yeah,
going
it's
to do
like
with it?
850
Right.
gigabytes, but who's counting?
Yeah, right. Between you and me, right? Mahi. But like they're looking at it, you're like really, like what now? And then somehow it's going to end up.
It's funny how that when you get excited when I hear you in an interview, it's funny because I really like hearing your questions on camera, listening to the entire process and hearing your reactions. Sometimes in the last year for projects that were really high pressure, getting them out. I have to just skip through and I can see by the waveforms where the answers are. And I don't always get to, but the magic happens in the in-between moments. And I do sometimes will, as much as I can go through those as well. But when you get excited by somebody's reaction, usually it's going to be right after their answer. And you say, that's a perfect line. That's getting into the video, guaranteed. And I'm like, my pressure, I was like, that was good. I have to now figure out. You gave him your word. Is that going to make it in? I hope so. And then,
It's also funny that like I also know you really well, that like I just shot, like I've never shot video before. Like that's not my thing. But like Special Children's Center, like I don't know, I got so excited, like picked up an 85, like and like held it like really steady as I could. And like in the back of your head that I really want to see some of my footage in there. but like but like
yeah.
I don't want you to use it unless it's perfect. But I really want to see it.
So just looking at the broad list of projects, clients that we've been working on, we had healthcare.
It also splits up between assisted living, memory care, and SNF, skilled nursing facilities. So these three different niches, you have to know the objective of each one. And I would ask people, like, tell me exactly why it is that you're investing these types of numbers per facility. And each one has their own, when I talked to Care One, they said, well, listen, Label, it's very easy. It's all private pay for the first 2 years, right? It's anywhere between $7,000 and $13,000 a month. So therefore, if we're paying you $25,000 and we have a resident, you get us one resident, right? For 24 months until, right, 36 months for memory care before any sort of governmental, thing kicks in. Like, the numbers are obvious. Like, it's a no-brainer. Makes a lot of sense. When I talk to the SNF side, right, same exact thing, right? Different, obviously.
Yeah.
But, let's say in Florida where things are at, let's say 240 a day, if you can, over the month, is about $8,000. After you did one client for 3 months, the whole thing's taken care of. And that's just one. You have to know each person's objective.
It's a numbers game at the end of the day, is what you're saying. It's
no, but you have to know clearly how the person's going to get the return on investment, right? When we're dealing with an investor, what does the investor need to hear? What's their cultural interest? What is it? Like, let's say, for example, with Kushner. Kushner's a perfect example of, here you have the journal. Everyone thought the journal was impossible. Everybody. The journal was impossible. Then Kushner, who only Kushner could do this with their development side and with their relationships and with their lending side, with all of the sides, they put this whole piece together and built the journal. 1,700 units. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful space, right? Yeah. And now, if everyone thought we couldn't do this and you're watching it successful, imagine what happens with our next idea. Trust us and invest in us, right? And that's that play. And each different client has a different play. On the nonprofit side, it's being able to connect with an entire community on the 5 towns. On the other side, it's, what they want to do is in Lakewood, 90% of their clientele is from Lakewood and it's getting funded from other sources. No one's helping because they feel like it's just funded from other places. We need to say, no, we need to self-fund, right? Each one has its own very unique purpose. And I think that's what gets me excited, is kind of expressing those clearly.
Yeah. We special. We also did Flatbush Community Fund.
Very special.
A lot of projects for them. And that, going back to the point where working with nonprofits, if it's somebody who's running it with a for-profit mindset and understands the value and understands how to utilize the product that we're offering, and
I mean, the Flatbush community is a perfect, obviously, someone that I respect immensely, and from the business side, and they're building a building, and I said, Shemaiah, like, what's the pitch, right? What are we pitching? So he said label. And we came up just really together. But like, the idea is that Flatbush Community Fund is doing so many chasadim. They're doing so many incredible things. They're helping with money for weddings. They're helping with tutoring. They're helping with food. They're helping with so many things. And you can join them and get, a merit for, helping with weddings. And you can get the merit helping with tutoring. And you can get them, right? All the individual things, Pesach, whatever it is that they're doing. But this building is going to be the root fundamental cause of all of this chesed, all of this beautiful things going on. So you can invest in any one of the unique, opportunities and you'll get that mitzvah. But if you're investing here on a fundamental way, it's almost like, it's almost like investing early, like angel round of a company, and you're going to get the merit for all the things that ever come out. And that's like a brilliant, brilliant move. And if you get a bunch of business people who are investing, talking about why they've invested in this, like they would make any other big investment, you'll talk to other business people in that mindset. So is that the move to show to the main world when you're doing your $18 campaign? No. But when you're looking for serious investors, that's who it'll talk to. That stuff blows my mind. I love that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where the value is. Okay. So here goes 2026, bringing more value to more clients, or better yet, more value to existing clients. I'm looking back at the client list of projects we did, and a whole bunch of them, like, hey, we've done work for them 2024, 2023. those are the most exciting to me because it
And they're
means to
coming back
say,
now, which is the crazy part. Is for us, like I just got a
yeah,
call from like a lot of our old clients who have seen
Emerald
success.
Roofing,
Which
we're going to do
right,
now. I'm looking, I see a whole bunch of people like that's where the value is at because they see the value, they've seen ROI, and proof is in the pudding at the end of the day. So
Avram, I appreciate you so much. You know that.
yeah, feeling is mutual.